Hey you guys, welcome back to my new video. It's Dielenka and today I'm gonna be talking about the new iPhone 14 Pro Max in my case. But for anyone wanting to buy the iPhone Pro, this is a video for you. I'm sure that by the time you're watching my video, you've already seen plenty of videos of tech reviews of the new iPhones from people who have gotten the phones earlier, who had the time to test all the features, and I'm sure you have watched those videos. I want to give you a little bit of a different view on the new iPhone, and I wanted to take it from a user's perspective. So if you're a normal person like me, I don't get anything for free, like I don't get a phone for free to test it for you. This is a phone I have bought myself and I'm doing the review to kind of tell you why I bought it and show you maybe some of the reasons you could consider and decide whether you want to buy it or not. I'm not gonna give you a ton of specs. I'm not gonna be telling you about numbers and stuff. I'm sure you can read that on the internet. The thing of this video is to show you what I have noticed once I've upgraded from my previous iPhone 13 Pro Max. Because as a normal person, you don't care about all the tech stuff, and what you care about is, alright, I get a new phone, and is this one better, and can I notice that it's significantly better? Is it a good reason for me to buy the new phone? So these are the things I noticed, and I'm sure you will notice too if you upgrade. So let's talk about the design first. One main difference I could notice, when I was having both of the phones next to each other, was the screen size. The body did not change, but the screen does not have such wide bezels on the sides, and it looks much better. So that's a really cool change you can see right from looking at it within the first minutes. The dimensions are almost the same and the weight is exactly the same. So from my perspective, no, you cannot notice anything. I have the iPhone 13 Pro Max here near me, and when you look at the two phones, can you really spot a difference when the screen is turned off? I don't think so. I think you cannot see a difference from anywhere basically, besides from the back. When you look at the back, you can see that the cameras on the new iPhone 14 Pro Max are bigger. They stand out even more than they used to. Is this a good thing? Is this not a good thing? I think we've already gotten used to the cameras, so I don't think this is something why you should not be buying the phone whatsoever. I'm just saying that from the design, you cannot really spot a difference until you turn them on and you see the beautiful, cheesy, as the name is, it's the dynamic island. From a software engineering perspective, because that's what I am, it is amazing. It is such a good feature, and I think that anyone who has thought of this is a genius, I think, because it looks so beautiful and it's so straightforward. You have all the stuff on the front screen that you need to somehow cover up, but you add this functionality to it so that it actually makes sense, and makes a lot of sense. From using it for only one day, because I only had this phone for one day, I could already tell that it is beautiful. And it's not only beautiful, but it is also very useful. For example, when you're doing a screen recording, you can tap it on and you can stop the recording from the dynamic island. Or when your phone starts to charge, it's a beautiful animation you can see there. You can use it for a lot of different apps, for example Spotify and so on. So it adds great functionality to it without having to scroll down. The only thing I have noticed, and I'm sure that some people might complain about, is that the dynamic island is next to the selfie camera. So it's not an issue for me because I've gotten very used to the phone, but I could see some people tapping the selfie camera and not tapping the dynamic island. So I think that there could be many smudges from your fingers. But anyway, I think that it won't be such an issue once you get used to the position of the elements. So now you've unpackaged the phone, you see that there is no design change, you've turned it on, you see that there's this dynamic island, and you will put a screen protector on it. Maybe you have done this before, turning on the device. This actually makes sense. So you put on the screen protector, and what is great about this one is that the screen protectors are now sold as a whole one piece. so there's not the cutout for the notch. It was so much more beautiful when there's glass on the whole screen and there is not the cutout for the notch. Beautiful. So from a content creator's perspective, what can I tell? Because, you know, I do a lot of social media stuff. I do have a big following on my Instagram. I would be very happy if you would follow me on my Instagram. So I do make a lot of content. So if you're someone who's like doing marketing, social media, you're a content creator or whatever, or you do any job where photography on your phone is very important and video making and so on, I could see that you could like use the ProRes photography. You could be very happy with the cinematic mode because I can see many like purposes for that. To sum this up, there have been some improvements, and to me those are great improvements in the camera qualities, in low light performance, and in the selfie camera. You may say that, well, I don't need the selfie camera, whatever, but we do want to take pictures with our friends when we are somewhere out. It's not just only for taking stories to our social media. So I think that a selfie camera is a very important aspect of a phone. So there have been a lot of improvements in the way how the camera like captures your skin, because now there are a lot of details of your skin well, maybe this is not a good thing eventually, but you can see your pimples, you can see your wrinkles, you can see like your, well, everything you have on your face and you don't like, you can see there. So it's a great improvement in the quality. Doesn't matter so much, maybe not. But I could see it when shooting stories for my Instagram, for example, that there has been a big improvement in the low light performance when I was filming myself in the car and I only had the one light turned on, and I could see that there was a lot less noise, and also from the captures of the environment there is a lot less noise in like low light performance, and you can see a lot more details. And the main camera jumped from 12 megapixel to all the way to 48 megapixel. You still get 12 megapixel photos, but the phone is actually like binning pixels, so it's making like a 1 pixel out of 4 ones, so you get better low light performance. But of course you can switch to 48 megapixel photos in the settings, but remember that those are gonna take up more space. Another thing is you have 2 times zoom. It's not 2 times optical zoom. You have the wide angle lens, you have the 1x lens, and then you have the zoom lens, the macro lens, which is like 3x, 3 times zoom. And they added a 2 times zoom. So this was something I was missing because I wanted to like capture things in 2x. So I was just like, great, now I can capture things in like 2x optical zoom. No, it's digital zoom. Okay, let's get this right. So what does this 2 times zoom actually do? It's just a crop, nothing more, nothing less. It's just a crop into the photo. I'm gonna show you some pictures, some comparison. I think that the 2x zoom still looks good, and it's a good like quick feature to use when you really like need the 2x distance, so you don't have to like scroll to find the 2x, but you just tap on it. But I would only be using this in like a really like critical situations where you really need to get that 2x shot. Otherwise I would just go near or further away, depending on what you need. I think this is the last thing I noticed about the camera, I hope I'm not wrong, and is that the footage or the photos are a lot more cooler. So I've used Samsung phones before, I've had my hands on many Android phones, and they always had like this cooler picture. So the color was much cooler, and on the iPhones it was always a little bit like yellowish, and now it's gone. It's gone. Like you literally compare the 2 pictures or the footages from the iPhone 13 Pro Max and 14 Pro Max, and you can see that the footage is a lot more cooler. I think this has been an improvement in getting the picture quality or the video quality into what it really looks like, and not like adding too much warmth to the pictures when there is none. So that's what I have noticed about a camera. Another improvement is the refresh rate. On the 13 Pro Max, the refresh rate could drop to 10 Hz, and now the refresh rate can drop all the way to 1 Hz. So this is also helping in battery life greatly. Did I notice the change? No. So the battery life on the 13 Pro Max was genius. I could get throughout the day with like 40% of battery, which has never happened on any Samsung flagship I have used. I just didn't have to worry about the battery at all. And now to the 14 Pro Max. So as I said, I only had it for 1 day, but the 1 day is like enough to like give you a perspective. I don't think that I have noticed a change, but I have turned off the always on display. And if you're a person who uses always on display, just write down in the comments below why you are using the always on display, because I've never really found any feature in it whatsoever. So that's like the first thing I turned off when it came out on my Samsung device, and it's the first thing years later, Apple, I'm turning off on the Apple devices. I know that it makes sense on like your watch, because you basically eventually want to know what time is it like all the time whenever you look at your watch. But does it really matter on a phone? Like, are you looking at your phone and staring at the clock, or what's the purpose of it? Like, are you looking at how notifications are coming to your phone? Like, tell me. So I've turned that off, but I had it on for a while and it got me wondering why it is so bright. I did not really understand why it is so bright, because it literally looks like if your screen was on. It looks like maybe if you had like 20 or 30% of brightness, and you think like, is my display still on, or what is it? Like, I got confused a few times if my display is literally on or if it's the always on display. And I've also watched some reviewers tell that yes, they thought their phone was on. The new iPhone Pros got the A16 Bionic chip. Is there something that I could notice? No, not really. I could not notice any performance differences from a user's perspective. But what I could kind of notice is that, as I talked before, the battery life did not change in my perspective, but the battery is actually smaller, and the A16 Bionic chip is like better in like saving battery life. And when we're talking about the memory, it stayed at 6 gigabytes, so no change there. And the last thing I have noticed is that the display is a lot brighter. This is something I struggled with like all the time, because I was used to much brighter phones. And once I got the iPhone, I was just like, oh, but that's not like too bright, and I can't really see anything in the sun. That has now changed. It's a lot better. So the brightness can go up to 2000 nits, and it's something you are able to notice when you're looking at the screen from like direct sun. And there are a lot of improvements when we talk about iOS 16. But iOS 16 has been here before the iPhone got released, so we already had some time to try out the iOS 16. So jumping to a new iPhone without the iOS 16 in your mind is not like such a big step. There are a lot of features in the iOS 16 which make iPhones much better. I think that the user experience is just genius, and I haven't like experienced that with any other phone. So these are the things I have noticed. It's the better camera with the better low light performance, with less noise, and with a better selfie camera. We got the new amazing notch with the dynamic island. We got always on display, and we have a higher brightness. Together with all those things like crash detection and satellite access. Those are nice add-ons, I would say. I've been in 2 major car accidents where I was not driving, and I could see myself using that feature, so I think it's great that they added that. And the satellite access can also be good for some dangerous situations. I think that it has happened to like most of us, that we were somewhere without the signal and we just wanted to send that one message like, Mom, I'm okay, I just don't have any signal, but we couldn't, and then bad things happened. So you can send a message even from a satellite, and the phone should show you where the satellite is located, but you have to go to an area where you can basically see the satellite, where you have like a clear view of the sky. Anyway, so this was my review, my first thoughts from a user's perspective, what I have noticed. And now, one last thing I want to talk about is the color of the device. So I got the 14 Pro Max in the deep purple color. And I was pre-ordering this phone, so you can't really like tell what the color looks like live. You gotta like watch a ton of videos, but anyway, there's always a different light, there's always cooler or warmer light and different angles, so it always looks different. But that was the reason why I eventually got it, because I was like, all right, well, this is not like the Sierra blue color I had on my iPhone Pro Max, where the color looked the same all the time from all the angles almost. It was always blue. So I got bored of it very quickly. But this color always looks different. And from all the people following me, they know that I love purple. Not particularly this type of purple, where it's a really, really, really dark purple, saturated purple, but very dark. Anyway, this color looks different from all the angles. So whenever you look at the phone, sometimes it looks great, sometimes it looks black, sometimes it looks deep purple, like dark purple, and sometimes it looks very bright purple. So I don't think you will get bored of this color. If you are considering getting the iPhone 14 Pro, I would highly suggest you have a look at the color. So that's it from this review. I hope that I could give you some insight on what has literally changed and you can notice. It would be great if you would subscribe to my channel, because it's a dream of mine to be doing tech reviews. And I would just love to show you like new tech, new great tech, like gadgets, phones, whatever, PCs. That would greatly help me in improving my videos and in growing my channel. And also follow me on Instagram if you would want to see more tech. So thank you guys for watching. Bye!